Okay, so when you log onto Onshape, you are going to be confronted with this screen here, and you'll be able to see that on the left hand side here we've got a variety of different tabs. So right at the top you'll see that we've got a create, and by clicking this is going to allow you to open up and create a new document or folder or different types of files. Now before we go on to move to do that, just going to look down this toolbar here. So you'll see that we've got a tab for recently opened. This will have all of your projects viewed on how recently you've opened them. You've got documents that you've created, and then also documents that may have been shared with you. So if you've been working with another student, or if you shared it with your teacher. You will also see just down here at the bottom of the screen that you've got some of your documents that you would have recently opened as well. So very similar to this tab here, you can just see it obviously on this front page. Now to begin with, you want to click on the create button, and you'll see that we've got some different options here, such as importing files and creating a folder. We want to start off by creating a document. So I'm going to click on that, and you're just going to label it with whatever you want to call your document. So for example, I might want to call it CAD test. And if you've got any folders for any projects that you're working on, you'll be able to see them just in this screen here, and you'll be able to select that and click into it. I'm just going to press create and open up my document. Now this can sometimes take a little while. You just need to be patient to wait for it to load up. Now once you have your screen and your document loaded, you will see that you have these sets of blue squares. You'll have a little cube up in the top right hand corner. On the left hand side you're going to have your communication box, and then you'll see that we've got lots of different options along the top here. Now the first thing that you want to do is to decide what orientation you want to view your model at. Now you can see up in this top right hand corner that we have this cube here, and we have some little buttons that when I press them, it is going to move my squares here, and we call this the orientation cube. Now, just down below that cube, you'll be able to see that there is a drop-down menu, and this has a lot of different ways that you can view your model, your drawing, your sketch on Onshape. So, for example, if we select isometric, you'll be able to see that my view now has oriented itself to an isometric view. If I wanted to just view my model from the front, I can just select the cube, and you can see that the face of that has now turned blue. And once I click onto that, that's just going to bring me to the front view of my model. Similarly, if I wanted to look at the top, I can then again select it. And whenever I want to, I can bring it back to that isometric view. Now, the first thing that we want to do whenever we're beginning a new model in CAD is to follow the same steps. So you'll see down here that we have something called a part studio, and we also have assembly. Part studios allow us to create the different parts of our model, and an assembly studio will allow us to be able to import all of our different parts to create our final assembly of whatever our model is. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to select and orient the view, and I want to select the plane that I'm going to sketch on. And you can see that once I've clicked on this, it has turned orange, meaning that I've selected that face. I can then go up to my top toolbar and I can click on sketch, which is going to bring up this new communication window called sketch 1. Now this is going to tell me all of the things that I'm able to do whilst I am sketching. So for example, you can see that we've got lots of different options up here that I can use to sketch whatever part I want for my model. So if we begin by just having a little look at this top bar, you'll be able to see that I've got an undo and a redo command button, so that if I want to go back or redo something that I might have deleted, I can use these buttons here to do so. We have a sketch command which will allow us to create a new sketch depending on what view we have and what plane we have selected. And then you'll be able to see that we've got lots of different options along the top here. Now these options are going to look at turning our two-dimensional sketch into a three-dimensional object, but for this tutorial we're not going to focus on those just yet. So I'm just going to follow the steps that I suggested before. So I'm going to select my view, select my plane, and then click into the sketch. Now once I've clicked into this sketch, you're going to be able to see that these different icons have changed along our toolbar at the top. And I'm just going to really quickly run you through the different commands that these different icons can give you. Now, first and foremost, you can see that when I select an icon and I just hover over it, it's going to bring up this communication box, which is going to tell us in short what that icon and that tool is going to allow us to do. So for example, here we have the line tool, which allows us to sketch a line segment or a series of line segments. And if I wanted to select that tool, I would just click into it until we have this dark grey box, and then I can go onto my sketch and draw in my line as I want. Now you'll be able to see here that another line is coming off the side of it, and I can draw into this, and I can keep going to create whatever shape I want to. But if, for example, if I just go in and undo that, if I go back in to select this and I draw a line coming off here, if I didn't want to have this line coming off again, I can just go onto my keyboard, press escape, and then it's going to get rid of that for me. Returning back up to the toolbar, we have a center point rectangle, and you can see that lots of my icons have a arrow pointing downwards to the side. If I just click onto this, this is going to give me different options for that tool. So we have the corner rectangle, a center point rectangle, and an align rectangle here. And I just have to go in and select whichever one I want, and then I can create my shape from there. You will see that we have a circle tool, and again, some different options for that. We have an inscribed polygon, which we can also change to a circumscribed polygon. We have a spline, which is exactly the same as your lines, but this is going to create a curved line. We have a text tool. We have some construction lines that we can use to be able to help us construct some geometry. We have something called a sketch fillet, which if I select, you'll be able to see that I can select two lines where I want to create a filleted edge, so a curved edge, and you can see that I've got this large arrow here that I can pull back and forth to change what the radius of that corner is. Now, if we just have a look at this, once I pull it past a certain point, you'll see that that line, this curved line here, has changed from blue to red. So if I just pull this back again, we're at blue, and now it's changed to red because this is an incomplete sketch. Onshape is telling me that this isn't possible to create a fillet with a radius of 29 millimeters because these two lines just aren't long enough to be able to support that. And this is really important for you to recognise, because to create successful sketches, you don't want to see any of those red lines at all. Now, just to complete that, I can press enter. It will bring up my dimension bar, and I can just over type that with 9 millimeters, and then that is going to create that fillet edge there. I also have my trim tool, which is really handy to get rid of any lines that you might not want. So I might say that I want to get rid of these lines within this square here, or equally I could say, actually, I don't want this line anymore, and I can just get rid of that there. We have an offset tool, which we will see later on in this lesson. We have a mirror tool, which will allow me to replicate any entity along a mirror line. So for example, I might say that I want to create a circle here, and I want this circle to be down here. And so to do that, I'm just going to select the mirror line. It's going to ask me which line I want to mirror that shape on. So I want the central line of symmetry to be here. And then it's going to ask me what I want to be mirrored, and I can just drag my mouse over and it's going to mirror that down there. We then have a pattern tool, which allows you to create a circular and a linear pattern. We have some DXF options, which is going to allow us to laser cut or 3D print our models later on in further lessons. And then the last tool that is really useful for us to look at is our dimension tool. Now this allows us to change the dimensions of entities within our sketch. So for example, I might want to have a look at this dimension here, and you can see that once I've selected the top and bottom points of that line, it's brought out this black dimensioning line here. And you can see that once I click to set that, this box here has appeared, and this allows me just to overtype to whatever I want that dimension to be. So for example, I might choose to make that 45 millimeters, and you'll see that that has changed that there. Once I want to complete a sketch and I've decided that I've got all of the components that I want within my sketch, at that point I will select and tick out my sketch 1 box, and you'll see that that will complete that sketch. It's very common for students to think that after every single thing that you draw, that you press the green tick because you finish that shape, but we don't want to press this until we've fully finished whatever component we've been drawing on our interface, okay? And you'll be able to see just then that once I ticked out the sketch, if I decide that actually there's something else that I want to draw in, I can just go back over to this toolbar here and I can double click on my sketch to bring it back open, bring open this dialog box again, and to start sketching once more.